Thank you all for joining us today. I'm Rachel Grabenhofer, the managing editor of Cosmetics and Toiletries. And today we have with us Kelly Dobos, who is a consultant, professor at the University of Cincinnati, a color expert, avid social media influencer for our industry, and an industry advocate. And I asked her to join us today to comment on a story that I saw last week on a TikTok trend. We'll get into that in a minute, but it's related to jail makeup. But first of all, thank you for joining us today, Kelly. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Rachel. Happy to be here.
Wow. It's going back to this. I emailed you quickly when I saw this trend because I couldn't believe my eyes, and I wondered if you knew anything about it. But just sort of as a recap, I was doing a consumer pulse report on social media last week, and I had seen a TikTok trend commenting on jail makeup, and I had to look and see what that was. From what I understood, it was consumers that were sort of in lockup using household items to create makeup products, basically. So this in particular was talking about using like flour or ground up sugar or cake mix and applying like Coca-Cola to that in small amounts to make it sort of a foundation consistency, and then using that as a makeup. And this particular person had darker pigmented skin, so she's talking about adding even a little bit of cocoa to that. Let's just start with your feedback on this particular trend.
I think, in the situation of that video, these folks don't have access to cosmetics as they generally would, and they still like to use them. And so I think they're getting very creative with using materials that are available to them to create products. But one thing I think you have to be careful of is you're using materials that aren't intended to be applied to the skin. And when you use a material in a way that it's not intended by the manufacturer, you're really taking on all the risk. So in this case, when I think the video showed using soda to create the mixture, and most sodas have a pretty low pH, say like 2 to 3. And that could be irritating to the skin, especially if you get it near the eye region. So I think, these people are in certain situations where they're, becoming creative to develop the products that they'd like to use. But I really think, for the average consumer, you probably don't want to replicate hacks at home. And I have to say, I did try this one out of curiosity as a scientist. I got the ingredients and mixed it up myself. It was really kind of sticky. It didn't really feel all that great on the skin. I could see how it might work in a pinch, but not ideal.
Interesting. So, I mean, I guess it reinforces the fact that they want cosmetic products. So in a way that's good for our industry. But it just, I wondered, along these lines, if you've seen any other hacks that consumers are using. I kind of go back to the old using coconut oil in the hair, or I think my mom used to recommend like eggs for like shine in the hair. Some of the other traditional uses of household products. Mayonnaise is another one I think I heard about. I don't think I liked that one, but I'm just curious about if you've heard any other good or bad hacks from what consumers are using, and maybe even if you know why some of them do or don't work.
So I do see a lot of hacks that I get a little, I'm like, every time I hear the word hack, I'm like, oh boy, what is it this time? And, when it comes to things like using food for a hair mask, I've seen people using avocados, and, you will get some benefit using those ingredients on hair like eggs or oils. They'll coat the hair, give it some shine, but they also tend to have some other, difficulties in rinsing, or they might have an odor that you don't like. So I would really save your food for eating and, invest in a little bit of conditioner for the hair. Another one I recently saw that as a specialist in the color area, I was really concerned about is people were using colored pencils, so art supplies to, as a makeup. And when it comes to color and cosmetics, it's highly regulated, and there are only specific colors you can use for safety purposes. And you see the color pencils, they don't have an ingredient list. You don't know what color additives are being used. And so they really shouldn't be applied to the face because they could cause irritation, again, especially the eye area. You're very careful. And those pencils might be, the wood in the case of the pencil might not be the type of material they'll be safe around the eye ear area either. So a lot of concerns in using colored pencils for makeup.
Yeah, I'm wondering physically how they even do that because, like, I just imagine how hard and, like, scrapey that might be on your actual scrotum corneum.
Right, right. The waxes used in a colored pencil are very different, and the combinations of the waxes are, of course, much different. They don't have the same melt point that we would use in a cosmetic for the face because we want it to smoothly glide on the skin, so you want it to melt around skin temperature.
Mm.
That's definitely not the same with the color pencil, and so you're really right. It's going to be much harder on the skin.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to get a few comments on this because I find it maybe more than anything a little bit entertaining for a cosmetic formulator to just kind of see what people are doing. Obviously, they're motivated again by wanting those cosmetic products, so that's good. But I'm kind of wondering what the takeaway might be from, this little kind of entertaining chat about what consumers are trying. What might formulators take from just understanding these things are happening?
Sure. I think there's, two things. First is that as cosmetic formulators and the industry, it's helpful for us to educate consumers on product safety and the amount of time and effort we put into the safety evaluations of our products. So, those are the reasons why you can't just pick up, a colored pencil to use it as face makeup because there are safety concerns. But also, I think, secondly, that sometimes these things are developing trends. If I go back to different oils for skin or hair, castor oil was trending not too long ago for hair. And so you saw that castor oil become more prevalent in new product development as well. So we might even be able to take some of these trends and turn them into our product development, but in a way that's scientifically sound.
Right. Fair point. I think that's all I had for this comment just today, but thank you for your insights. It's great to get a insider's take on what the heck consumers are doing with their own chemistry.
These are always fun to take a look at. Right.